But the next one that we're going to have is the Ferrari Big Five Parade and the F40 anniversary. And as you can see, and we've been seeing this ridiculous numbers of such an amazing array of Ferraris. I mean, I know I saw some people's comments going, that many Enzos in one place. This is ridiculous. Thankfully, we're not sort of waiting for the font of no knowledge, i.e. me, to talk about this. It is, I'm joined by someone who, through obsession, is bordering on anorak with it. He does love his Ferraris. I'm joined again by Jonty. You're looking forward to this one, mate, aren't you?
I am, Chris. Yes, thank you very much for the introduction. It's nice to be back in a commentary box with you again as well.
Feels like at least a year.
It does. It's something like that.
It's actually a little bit less, wasn't it, because we did it in August last year.
Yeah, that's true.
We?
Yeah. We were promised better weather. I'm slightly disappointed by that. I thought it might have been a bit better, but I can see some blue coming over in the distance, so hopefully that'll carry on making its way over.
I tell you what, though, just to sort of temper that disappointment, is that from my experience, if the day is sweltering hot, that's worse than rain, in the fact that once everybody's in their cars and they get hot, you actually lose some of your capacity to think, because of dehydration and overheating. And honestly, we've had accidents in straight lines when it's that hot. So, it's possibly not a bad thing. It could have done without that rain earlier, but I think David Addison called it earlier, is that it was psychological rain, so it wasn't.
Yeah, it didn't exactly wet anything, did it? Certainly not people's spirits.
Yeah. I mean, I know you've been sort of taking a wander through, as is Amanda. I mean, just look at this. I mean, it's just mind-blowing.
Yeah, this is going to be crazy. I mean, like when I was down in the paddock, we got a selection of the cars, but they were just mainly members' cars. But also, some of the sponsors have brought some cars along as well. So that wasn't the full extent of what we have here from the Ferrari F cars. And, well, as you can see, as the cameras going through the middle of this selection, it's very rare that you see that many F40s together. It's such a magnificent sight.
It feels like you see on the movies when you get the mafia family or families from the whole of America meeting at one country house, is that we've got all these Ferraris in the same house. It's like, really? They're not supposed to all be together?
Well, yeah, no, it's very rare that you'll see these together in these sort of numbers. I think there probably some that's come from other countries even, or maybe there really is this many in the UK. We just aren't used to seeing.
Yeah, it is so good as they're firing up there. In terms of the five, now I know you're going to tell me anyway, I'm sure, but the Ferrari Big Five. Tell us them. First of all, list them. Can you?
Right, yeah, of course I can list them. Can I? Honestly.
Well, I was building you up there, man.
Well, we'll start off with where I suppose the Big Five started with the 288 GTO. It was supposed to be a homologation car, but there's some story saying that that's not quite the case. It was just more of a name. They just decided to make a really fast road car, which they built just 272 of those. So out of all of them, that is actually the rarest. And for that reason, it's probably one of the most valuable. Then moving on, there is the F40, which came about when Enzo wanted to just shock the world one last time. He knew he was getting old, and I think he wanted to make sure that he left some sort of legacy, so he just wanted to make the fastest car in the world, not just in a straight line,
just in general,
cornering and everything. So that's where the F40 came about, and they only planned to make about 400 of those based on the 272 288s that they'd sold. And then demand was that high that I think numbers were 1,311 of the F40s that were made in the end.
Is this correct as well? I've always heard the story that Enzo's whole modus operandi, excuse my Latin, was
it's nearly Italian.
It's close, yeah. Is that hey, don't get me going Del Boy on you, mate. Is that he would always make one less than was wanted.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, although maybe not in the case of the F40, but certainly with the cars that followed after, it was generally his little ethos of how many to produce so that it'd drive up demand.
Yeah.
So moving on after that, you got the F50, which this was supposed to be an F1 car for the road, and because of that, the engine came from a Ferrari 641. Which was a 3.5 V12, but they had to up it to make it more usable for the road, so it's actually 4.7 V12. And for that, they did actually make 349 because they thought they could sell 350. So, and that's actually the second rarest of the 5.
And we celebrated the F50 last year or the year before?
Yes, year before.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the year before. We had quite a few of those out here. Look at them going on track. What a sight.
Focus, keep
going.
going.
I'm trying. So yeah, and then following on from that, we got the Enzo Ferrari just to celebrate the man himself. Obviously, this is quite a long time after his death. And they aim to make 399 of those, but then they made a 400th that they gave to the Vatican, and I think that was then raffled off for charity,
right.
Or auctioned off, should I say. And then, for some reason, it turns out there's actually about 493 Enzos. So officially, there is 400.
They've been mating, is that what's been happening?
It's
there,
possible.
Yeah.
I think Ferrari realised that they could sell a few extras, so they got a little bit carried away. I think back in the days before social media was a thing, it was quite easy to get away with.
Yeah.
I have heard stories of certain rarer models that used to have the plaque of number, I don't know, 59 of 499. But those plaques appeared more than once around the world, so as long as they didn't sell it in the same part of the world, but obviously things like social media now, that means these things don't happen anymore. Yeah. And then finally out of the group you've got the La Ferrari, or the Ferrari. I mean, that's
some self-confidence.
It is some self-confidence. Yeah, that's right. It's what a name. But they called it that because it was classed as the definitive Ferrari. You know, the one to have, and that's a hybrid. It's just short of 800 brake horsepower coming from the 6-litre V12, and then another 200 horsepower from the electric motors. And obviously there was a big thing when this was released because it was at the same time as the P1 and 918 Spider. So this was known as the Holy Trinity. If you could have all three, which I do believe there is a member here, Paul Bailey, he actually got all three at the same time. Yeah, so that was the definitive Ferrari, and they made 499 of those, but then they decided to make another 100 convertibles.
Oh, okay.
And then they made another 7.
Or
8.
Yeah.
So I think there was about 110 of those by the time they'd actually finished. But yeah, we've got a nice selection of all these here today, and yeah, the black F50 on screen just there. That's one of just 4 black F50s in the world. Here the Monza. Again, this is an 812.
How many of those are there, mate? Because I just don't see very many of those. I probably trapped you up there. Sorry, mate. Don't worry.
I was talking about the Big 5. I forgot that.
I know, but only because just seeing it there is. I mean, the focus is the Big 5 here. In all fairness, and the whole idea of that is that they are the Big 5 because it was a significant car with a significant celebrational purpose. Basically, that was the thing, is that they went out of the mold to go, right, this one is gung-ho, this one's banzai, we're going nuts with this one, and it was always something special. Forgive me then, what's the sit with the FXX? Or have I missed an X there?
Yeah, no, there is the FXX and the FXXK.
That's right.
So these were effectively race cars based on, well, the FXX was the Enzo and FXXK was the LaFerrari. But race versions, not to compete in a series as such, but just track day toys.
Right.
And if you did buy one, you didn't even get to take it home with you. Ferrari would keep it.
That's right, I heard that. Same as, isn't it the Aston Martin Vulcan's the same, I think, from memory as well, is that you get shipped to the circuit and then you get to drive it on there if you're lucky and well behaved.
If your team at Ferrari decide that's okay. Look at that, the sea of F40s.
Just wonderful, isn't it?
That is such a sight.
And it does look great with the majority of them being the Ferrari red as well. I mean, just amazing.
Yeah, that's right. Oh no, it's all right. It's a little bit of dust. I thought one of the F50s were kicking something up.
I think that, I'm assuming that's where the Jordan stopped early, the F1 car, and it just sort of whittled everything out of its system, but not too much by the looks of it. One of the cars just come into the pits, they'll be making sure something. I mean, that's a unique red on that car there at the bottom of the screen there.
Yeah, I think it's Rosso Fuoco.
It's easy for you
but
to say.
I could be wrong. It's
after pronouncing that way, I don't want you to be.
Well, no. I could be wrong on that, but yeah, that's again a rare colour on the Enzo. But there are more Enzos in colours other than red.
Just look at this, the 212 Export Vignali. I get it in before you did.
Yeah.
So
you missed Barchetta off the end of that.
Sorry, mate. My bad.
Yeah, you know what? They're going that little bit slower than everyone else, but I bet they're having just as much, if not more, fun in that thing. That must be incredible to be on track, especially following, you know, the V12 noise that LaFerrari is going to be making in front.
It's just so good to see these out. I always think back to an ex-business colleague and friend of mine that he came from up in Middlesbrough way, and he had a Ferrari, and he kept it in his garage, a lovely house in the middle of the countryside, and he'd bring it out to play with every time he wanted. And there just happened to be a period where it was quite a long stretch between usage, and then he went out and a mouse had got into the car and into the driver's seat and the door panel.
Oh no.
And I nearly cried when he told me the story, let alone when he went out and saw that one.
I'm guessing he had a lot of issues with it shortly after that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was just, you just can't recreate what you already had.
That's right.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so this is another rare car. Again, I think the 288 was available mainly in red, but the black car that you can see with the red stripe came from the Sultan of Brunei collection. So they had a habit of buying a lot of Ferraris and generally having them changed to right-hand drive. So the F40 was only ever available in left-hand drive, but the grey one that you see, that's also from the Sultan of Brunei collection, and that is a right-hand drive F40.
Right, okay.
And you will only see a right-hand drive F40 if it's come from that collection, which I can't quite remember how many cars they have. I think it was around 20.
Wow.
And I think pretty much all of those were converted to right-hand drive, and generally not in red either.
Right.
So there's some quite wacky colours. They did obviously have a few red and yellow ones, but then the other yellow one, I've not seen it for a while actually. I thought it was on track, but yeah, as Amanda was talking to the owner Charles earlier, that one was a special order for Rod Stewart. So, you know, it is quite a rare car, and yeah, it's just past the commentary box now. The way to tell that it is a genuine yellow F40 is when you get up close, you can see the weave of the carbon fibre through the paint.
Okay.
And obviously, if it had not been a genuine F40 in yellow, then you wouldn't be able to see that because it had been sprayed over. Because even if you ordered a replacement clamshell, that came pre-sprayed in red.
Okay. I just, it's when you see this coming down the straight, you just can't help but be in awe that this is something special to have this many of all of these different kind of Ferraris in one place.
Yeah, I can't remember ever seeing that many of the mix of the big five. I mean, usually it's a big thing when you get the big five together of one of each.
Yeah, exactly.
But to see that many of each of them in one place at a time,
I'm impressed that you're keeping your cool.
I'm trying.
This is the recurring dream you've had since you were young. For goodness sake.
It is. Yeah. I mean, I can remember like videos of the F40 shortly after it had come out when these would appear, and they took a load of them on track together, and you thought that's a sight that you'll never see in person. But looking out there, it's actually happening. It's very real.
Incredible to just see them all together, and I know for everybody who's watching this on the stream, welcome again to you all, and you keep trying to pick out what the highlight of the SCD celebration of motoring like no other really does sum it up, and which part is the best part. You know, you get the Formula 1 cars, but you get the the motorsport cars from Le Mans, from this, from that, from the other, and no, but we get the hypercars, we get this selection of Ferraris all together. You just cannot overestimate. You know, you can't realise what a big deal this is for this many in one place.
It's yeah, I am pretty speechless when I just that shot then, just of all those F40s together.
But to have so many Enzos together, so many LaFerraris out here together, it's just incredible. And in fairness, there's a good number of the 288s as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it took a while for us to even get a 288 to the Secret Meet, which we had the first one back in 2011, the first ever Secret Meet, and we actually did come to Donington. Then we did move it somewhere else to Greypool, Nottingham for a while, until coming back here in 2019. And it's such a good thing that we did, because it missed that moving element.
Yes.
And I think, you know, we are supercar driver. We are about people getting out in these cars and just driving them. This is it, you know. So it had to move here, really, just so that we could let people get out.
And it's one of those things that I've always been, you know, openly privileged that I've been involved with you guys. I think the first one where you came here and you didn't have any noise potentially. We were trying to remember, but I've been with you certainly for 3 years, and to just see what you guys do, both in the opportunity for people to still get out there and drive their cars, to bring together everybody, because you know that we're all obsessed fans of all of this kind of thing. So to be able to see all of this out here. And then to get, you know, cars out there actually putting on demos and being taken to speed. I mean, we were just talking about those Formula One cars. That wasn't demo laps. This was their track day. The owners of those F1 cars, it's a track day like they're doing with their sports cars and hypercars.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, some of these cars might be out as well later on in the hypercar track session. So, you know, to be able to take things like that out on track, and as I may have been bragging about earlier,
we did here.
That very nice F40 LM has apparently got my name on it for that session. So I'm very excited, but also very, very nervous, because I've been told it's worth about £5.5 million.
Play it cool, Trig, play it cool. I mean, it was interesting because you made that point when you were chatting about that, and you said it's been converted for
road use.
And then someone's commenting on that going, why wouldn't you? It's amazing. Imagine seeing one of those, let alone driving one of those on the road. If you just saw it, I think in fairness you said it as well, going, you would spot this a mile away with its unique wing, and it is just a race car on the road.
If you put it next to a standard F40, then yeah, it's a lot wider. You know, the wheels are different, the wings different. It's got massive lights. It doesn't have the pop-ups. It's just pulling into position down there now.
Yeah.
And then at the front we've got the there's a F40 GT on the front row. So DK brought that along as the pace car. The GTs generally started out as standard F40s, but then were sent off to a company called Michelotto, who had built the LM beforehand, and they would then tune them up ready to be race cars. The F40 GT at the front, you'll notice the sponsors on the front, it just says sponsor, and that's apparently because the owner of that car, he wanted to go racing so that everybody else that was racing had sponsors. He didn't really need sponsors to fund his racing career, so he just put some stickers on it and put sponsor on the sticker.
Love it.
So it's, you know, I love stories like that, and generally all these cars do come with a story of their owners, and it's always nice speaking to the owners to find something out.
And pick up on that is that one that stands out to me colour-wise is almost sort of like a greeny, goldy, bronzy one.
Yeah, so I'm going to go and find the owner, Andrew. That was a car that belonged to his dad, who sadly passed away since last year's Secret Meet. We did a video about that car, and it was a really fantastic video, just getting to know the owner and just some of the experiences that he'd had as in a bit of a racing career, and then the different cars that he'd owned over time. So yeah, it was but he was 80 years old and still driving his F40.
That is legend status.
We did that video on him, and then he came to the Secret Meet last year in that car, and he was parts on the grid with it. But that was unfortunately the last time that he drove the car. Right. But yeah, we'll hopefully, if there's chance.
But what were you saying about the colour came from?
Speaking to Andrew earlier, I think he said that the colour came from the colour of one of his mum's cars and his dad's car, and then one of his cars as well, and then from a Ferrari, I think it was a TDF, and then they've sort of been blended together, and then it's been sprayed on, but it's the peelable paint.
Okay.
So it's
yeah.
not a wrap as such. It's
No, I've seen those.
It's actually the
peelable
peelable paint.
They're good then.
So, but I think people do seem to be stopping in the cars currently. I was going to pop down and try and grab a few people, so I might have to leave you, and I'll pick up from down there shortly.
Yep, go for it.
I'll leave you to perv on your own for a while, and
well, I can see at the front is a cameraman. Whether they've got a microphone, check with Nick on your way out.
Yep.
And you'll be able to see whether you can grab some interviews with people down on that grid.
Try and find out. Right.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jonty. So Jonty gets to go down and get even more up close and personal. But you'll see that amazing mix, that amazing array of cars, just altogether. I mean, that front one actually doesn't even do it justice, does it? Because it suddenly makes it look smaller. I'm trying to look out my window to see if I can count the rows, and the answer is no, as it stands at the moment. I'm going to try and peer around the corner a bit more. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think it's 11, maybe 12 rows there, 4 wide. Altogether in the big 5 of the Ferraris, and it is just amazing to get this many all together. You may find that there's some that are even in the paddock that have had to stay static as well, potentially. But Donington Park playing host to just a wonderful photo opportunity. Hence, you'll find for this one, for example, is that we we have stopped them. They usually perched up on a ladder, the photographer, to get the perfect shots. Quite often get them in a van or a pickup, also getting some moving shots. We'll do the same with the hypercars a little bit later as well. But I can see that Jonty's made it down to the front of the grid. You see him there in his white T-shirt. The cameraman in the high vis next to him, so he's gonna be hopefully he's got to wait so he doesn't get into the camera shot at the moment. We're then sort of assuming that he's going to have time to be able to interview them rather than them pulling straight off. I probably should have let him go a little bit earlier while they were still building up the cars into their positions, and he'd been able to have grabbed words with the first. The tog's off the ladder, or off the middle there, so it's whether he's going to be able to grab any kind of interview at the moment without, no offence, Jonty, but spoiling the the photos. And wait and see. Yeah, we're now able to hand down, and Jonty's able to catch a word with a few of them.
Thank you very much, Chris. Yeah, we're down on the grid, and as usual, we've got the media team getting some shots. We've got Riyadh over there on a ladder where he usually likes to be. And we're just waiting at the front. Hopefully we can have a walk through in a short while and go and speak to some of the owners. But they're obviously getting their shot, and I've just got to get in trouble if I end up going through there. Could work his way forward a little bit. Let's have a word with Tom. I do believe that this 288 is a special one. Hiya, Tom, you all right?
Good.
Back again.
Back again, another great day, another great event. What a showing this is. Look at this for a grid lineup.
It looked fantastic on the TV monitors, I'll tell you. So is this a certain different 288 GTO to the standard one, or
This is the oldest Ferrari supercar in existence. So this is car number 2 of all the GTOs, and car number 1 was destroyed. This is one of the 6 factory prototypes, and it was gifted to the one and only owner by Enzo Ferrari himself. And that gentleman was the head of Ferrari Motorsport, and he was awarded it for his 1983 season in Formula 1. And I bought it direct from him about 6 years ago.
Wow. So you're enjoying your time in this. I remember doing a drive with you not so long since, and this was behind me in my rear view mirrors, and it was just stunning, especially with the lights on.
No, I ranked this I put the kids number 1, and then this car and the wife are competing for number 2, and then behind that is everything else.
Perfect. Thank you. So yeah, so here's the F40 GT and also the other 288, which is from the Sultan of Brunei collection. I'll just see if we can get a quick word. Hi James, you all right? So yeah, so can you tell us a little about this? I believe it's a GT, is that right?
Yeah, so this is an F40 GT, which was basically a road car that the first owner took racing when it was only a few months old, and it did 3 years of the Italian GT Championship in the early 90s. And actually, he kept it until only about 10 years ago, and by that time he'd done 120,000 kilometres in the car. So after he raced it for 3 years, he drove it on the road. So it's one of the highest mileage F40s out there, but we have totally restored it, and we've got it back in its original period race livery. So it's, yeah, hell of a thing.
Wow, so yeah, it looks absolutely mint considering it's a high miler, but does the mileage on something as rare as this affect the value at all, would you say? Or
Yeah, definitely on the standard road cars, you know. In theory, although as you can see from around us, they're not, but in theory they're all red with red, so mileage is a big driver on value. But when it comes to a car like this, it has such significant race history and a real story to tell. There are only about 10 or 12 of these cars that truly have history like that. It doesn't affect the value of this car, you know, it's multi times the value of a standard road car. But yeah, on the normal stuff, the mileage does count. But, you know, we love to see a high mileage F40 because they should be used and enjoyed.
that's it, they're properly run in then. Thank you very much. Cheers. So we'll have a quick walk through. I'll see if I can find Andrew. He can tell us about the colour of the other F40 that we were talking about up in the commentary box. How are we doing? Well, the car's back, unfortunately. Yeah, you'd had this, but yeah, can you tell us a bit about the colour, because I remember you mentioning it and I didn't quite get it.
It's in memory. We're losing my mum and dad last year quite close together. My mum loved green and had an SV Aventador in green. So then my dad then spec'd an SV Aventador Roadster in the gunmetal grey graphite. And with him not being here and a tribute, I thought, how can I mix these, make it special today with all the red F40s? And a combination of the two colours. Looking back more Ferrari, you know the TDF was well known in this colour. So yeah, peelable paint in this colour. Some will love it, some will hate it. It'll be a memory. And it's what it's all about.
I think it looks absolutely stunning personally, so yeah. No, it's...
Maybe others will think, yeah, peelable paint, let's give it a go and try some more unusual colours and see something a bit different in the future.
Why not? It looks stunning. Thank you very much for bringing it, Still. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Cheers. So, all right, I think we're actually going to go, so if we head across to the side of the circuit, I think we're getting ready for a nice sea of noise as they all set off. Carl there taking his F40. We tried to persuade him to bring it to the Dolomites, but weren't quite having that. There's not really much point in me talking. I think the cars are making enough noise.